So the last time that we left off, we had created an object laser, and we had programmed that using our object player to be able to fire using the spacebar. We now want to start thinking about creating an enemy. So for right now, I'm going to just do a real quick sprite, and I'll update this sprite later. So I'm going to click on my sprites folder. I'm going to click on the plus button. I'm going to choose sprites and create. And we'll call this SPR enemy 1 because we'll have multiple enemies, and some will be easy, and as the game goes on, it'll get harder and harder. I'm just going to resize my canvas to be 32 by 32, so I will put that in. And when I edit this image, I'm just going to go over here to the circle tool, and I'll choose just like a green, go to the top corner, go to the bottom corner, and I'll just use that circle as my enemy right now. So anyway, maybe I'll have a little bit of fun and just give it a little bit of a kind of shine like that. Okay, so pretty much I'm just going to keep my enemy like that. And I'm going to go ahead and close this out. So now I have my sprite enemy, need to turn that into an object so I can start programming it. So I'm going to click on my objects folder, click on the plus, go to objects and create, and we'll call this obj enemy 1. And then we'll go to sprites here, and I'm going to assign it the enemy sprite. Okay, so this first enemy that we're going to create, going to be very basic. It's going to allow our player to kind of get a feel for the controls, how the game works, all that kind of stuff. So it's just going to fly straight across the screen. It's going to be firing at kind of a repetitive rate. So let's go ahead and set this up. Add event, create, and what we want to do is when this enemy is created, we just want it to start moving. Whoops. We just wanted to start moving across the screen. So I'm going to come down here to the motion. I'm going to grab the speed button, and we'll make it slow. So I'll just set a speed of 2, and we'll bring out the set direction, and we'll say go to the left. All right. So this will make our enemy go to the left. Now, we also want our enemy to fire, and it's also going to fire a laser, but it can't fire the object laser that we've already created because that laser is programmed to go to the right. This laser obviously needs to come to the left. However, we can reuse the sprite laser. So I'm just going to create another object. I'm going to go click on my objects folder, click on my plus, and I'm going to go to objects and create it. And we'll call this object obj enemy laser. But like I said, we can reuse our sprite laser. Now, obviously, I could draw a new laser if I wanted to. I didn't have to reuse it. But just to save a little bit of time, I'm just going to reuse this sprite for my object enemy laser. With our object enemy laser, we're going to add event and create. And in our create event here, I'm just going to, again, go down to motion. And I'm going to set the speed, just like our laser, we'll set that speed to 10, and we'll set that direction to the left. Okay. With this laser, we also want to go ahead and destroy it when it goes outside of the room. So we're going to go to add event and go down here to other and outside room. And then from here, we're just going to go under instances, and we're going to say destroy the instance. And that way, if the enemy fires and misses us, we won't be tracking that laser anymore. Okay, so now with our object enemy, what we can do for right now, pretty soon we're going to start talking about timelines. But just to test out our object enemy, we're going to put it in the room. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my level 1 room. I'm going to move my player over to the side like that. And I'm going to grab object enemy 1, and I'm going to bring object enemy 1 all the way over here. And what I should see right now is the enemy should just start moving. It won't fire. I won't be able to destroy it, but I should see the enemy just kind of scrolling across the screen, just like that, right? So you can see I'm shooting it, nothing's happening, okay? We have to program that. So, but basically right now, my enemy is working exactly the way that I want, and I'm happy with that. So I'm going to close my room for right now. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to minimize that. And actually, I will minimize this. So let's get our player, or I'm sorry, our enemy to start shooting. So if you close this, you want to double click on your enemy 1, you can. Otherwise, you can kind of scroll up. You should find your enemy 1 a little bit above where we were. So we want our enemy 1 to start shooting, but we don't want this stream of lasers to come out. So what we wanted to do is to fire like every maybe second. We do that by setting up a timer in GameMaker that's called an alarm. So I'm going to go to Add Event and Alarm. And notice that I've got 12 alarms. I've got alarm 0 all the way up to alarm 11. So we can use up to 12 alarms in our objects. So I'm going to go ahead and use alarm 0. Now, what's going to happen is when alarm 0 goes off, or when the timer goes off, that's sort of how you're thinking. We're going to have like this countdown. When it goes off, we want to create that object enemy laser that we just did. So I'm going to go ahead and in instances, I'm going to grab the light bulb. And with the object, we are going to make the object the enemy laser, not the object laser. We want this to be enemy laser at 0, 0 relative. So that's going to come out of those origin points. Okay. And then what we're going to redo, we're going to reset the alarm. And so this is in instances, it looks like an alarm clock. I'm just going to bring this out. And again, we're working in alarm 0 right now. And since we're running at about hopefully 60 frames a second, we'll set the countdown to be 60. So that means after 60 frames, we will have this alarm go off again. Now, we've got to actually set the alarm initially, right? So when it's created, we set the speed and the direction, but we never told alarm 0 to start. We told alarm 0 to start after the alarm goes off. Well, it's never going to go off. So in the create event, we also have to set an alarm. So I'm going to scroll back up here to instances, and I'm going to grab set alarm countdown, alarm 0 to 60. So what should happen now is we should see our enemy start to fire at us, and every second it fires another laser. Now you can decide, is that too frequently? Is it happening too fast for this early in the game? If that's so, then what you can do is go into alarm 0 and set your countdown maybe to 90 so that it's every 1 second, 1.5 seconds, okay? But basically, that's sort of you. You got to figure out what exactly is this, going to look like. Now, the other thing I'm noticing is that the laser is not coming out of the center of the enemy. So again, if you think about it and remember what we talked about with our object player, that goes back to origin. If I go to the sprites, my sprite enemy 1, and I take my origin and I center it, or I just say right here to go to middle center, now that laser will come out of the middle of my player. We've already done that with the sprite laser, so we don't need to, oh no, we didn't, it's actually right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with my sprite laser and put that in middle center as well, all right? And taking a look at my sprite player, that is middle center, so that one's good to go. All right, so I'm going to close out these sprites. I'm not going to really need to work with them anymore for right now. So close those out so I don't have to deal with them. Okay, we need to start talking about collision events now. So to do this, I'm going to be in my object enemy 1. And we want, when our laser hits this enemy, we want to destroy it. So we're going to go to Add Event, and we're going to go to Collision with Objects, and we're going to collide with Object Laser, not Enemy Laser, because if we do this, then as soon as it creates its own laser, it's going to destroy itself because that collision happened. We want to do it with our laser, okay, so Object Laser. So now we have this collision event with object laser. All right, so what are we going to do? Well, what we're going to do is there is somewhere in here a built-in particle effect. And I can't remember where it is, so I might have to look this up later and tell you where it is. I can do a search. Let me just see if I type in effect. Ah, yes, there it is. So if you type in effect for your search, it's this star, and it would be under particles. That's the category that's in. So if I scroll down here, I'm going to look for a category called particles. There it is. And this star right here at the end of it, we're going to bring this out. Okay, so these are just some built-in particle effects that GameMaker has. They don't look great, but for right now, they're going to be kind of fun to work with. The explosion, it kind of looks like a cloud. I'm not a huge fan of it. I like the firework a little bit more. So I'm going to do a firework, all right? Now, where? Below or above objects? That doesn't mean up, this here is above and this is below. It's more layering. So above would mean like the mouse is above right now, this window. whereas the window is below the mouse. That's basically what it means. So I like to do below. Actually, for this, I'll probably do above objects so that it shows up on top of whatever objects are there. I'll probably do a medium-sized one. We want the X, Y coordinates to be relative to the current position of our enemy, so we'll check those. And then the color, let's see, I've got a green enemy, so maybe I'll just choose a green, maybe just a basic green like that, and click OK. So that I'll have a green explosion like that. I'm actually going to add a second one. And this one's going to be the ring. This creates like this small ring that then expands and kind of fades out. And we'll do this above objects as well. I'll do this one medium as well. I kind of like it to be white, but 0, 0 relative. Okay. So we're going to create these particle effects, and then we need to destroy our enemy. So we're going to go ahead up to instances and bring out the destroy. So what's going to happen now is when I click on play, I should be able to now fire at my enemy, and you can see that ring with that explosion. Okay. So that was kind of fun. I think I might change the ring to be large. It just sort of stayed the same size as my player, or I'm sorry, as the firework, which, you know, kind of was whatever. So that's a little bit better. I might keep it like that. The other thing I might do is it does take up a lot of space. So I might do this one small and do this one medium and see what I think of that. This is obviously your call, and whatever you want it to look like, you go with size-wise. So, you know, that's a little bit more subtle. So I can live with that. Okay, now we are not quite ready yet to move on with this, because things that I want to start talking about soon are things like score and lives and health, because when the enemy shoots and hits us, I want us to have a health system in place, and I want to have a score system in place so that when we shoot enemies, we get the results of those scores. We'll start adding that in a later time. So for right now, we're going to wrap up this video and talk about some more stuff later.